So, a Nobel Peace Prize nomination, the drawdown of U.S. troops in Iraq. Very busy morning for the president. We're going to break this down for you. Doug Wead joining us live, presidential historian and author of Inside Trump's White House. Robert McDonnell, he is the former governor of Virginia. Both are joining us today. Thanks so much for all of you coming on. Doug, I'll start with you on this. A major day, Nobel Peace Prize nomination for the president here. The first one that he got in 2018 didn't move forward. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, well, he should get it. I mean, he's the first president in 40 years not to have started a war or invaded somebody. Every one of them had their war. The president I served, George H.W. Bush, invaded Panama. Of course, Reagan invaded Grenada, and Clinton had his war in the Balkans, and Libya for Obama. They all had a war. So here's the first American president who hasn't gotten us into a new war. I think he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. And reaching out to North Korea. When I interviewed him, he pointed to the two chairs on the portrait of Washington. He said, right there I sat with Barack Obama and asked him, the president, and I was the president-elect, I asked him, what's the biggest problem we face? And Obama said, North Korea. You will have a war with North Korea. And Trump said, well, did you call him? Have you called him? And Obama said, no, I haven't called him. He's a dictator. And then Trump looked at all of us in the room and he said, stupid. I guess Donald Trump thinks you should call your enemy and try to get things solved.
Yeah, and by the way, Doug's referring to the 2018 nomination, in which case he was reached out to at the Singapore summit, which also Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe did the same. I think that's what got the pushback. But this one could be different, Governor. Talk to me about that, because it was interesting. The man who nominated him from Norwegian Parliament suggested that, hey, look, I'm not a big Trump supporter, and he says that. He goes on record and says that. But he says that it should be done on his actions and what he has already accomplished so far, and not his personality, but again, his actions, Governor.
I think that's a great formula for determining who you elect as president, and Americans should follow that same general pattern. Now, I think President Trump, it's a meritorious nomination. You know, you compare it to President Obama got nominated before he even took office and got the medal 2 weeks later, which, you know, obviously raised some eyebrows. But when you look at the record here, the substance, it's not only that the Israel-UAE deal was substantive and solve that issue, but it's now a template for how other countries in the Mideast can also have a peaceful settlement with their neighbors. And beyond that, as you heard Doug mention, it's bringing troops home from Afghanistan. He brought a third of the troops home from Germany. You know, we're still winding down World War II, you know, to some degree. And now the move to bring more troops home from Iraq. So I think there's a body of record here and accomplishments that are terrific. You don't hear anything much out of Venezuela and North Korea of any saber rattling there. So the policies of peace through strength are working.
Doug, I'm curious of how big of a deal this is with Israel and UAE. As you know, the media didn't cover it that extensively, but clearly this is making waves internationally here, again being nominated for the efforts on this specific deal. Does this open the door for more peace in the Middle East?
Yes, it obviously does. Now there's talk about Morocco. There's talk about a chain reaction. It's to give you perspective, it's the first time in 25 years. It's the greatest claim to fame for Jimmy Carter. It's his only real claim to fame of his presidency, and got tremendous attention when he brought Menachem Begin and Anwar Sadat together. So this is a great moment of history, and history will not ignore it. I think it will make our American national news media look bad for ignoring such a gigantic moment in history. In fact, the New York Times tipped its hat in that direction when it first was announced. What else could they do?
I want to go back to that mainstream point here, and I don't want to, call Associated Press, mainstream, but look, that's where a lot of folks get their news from. And you wonder how this Nobel Peace Prize could be spun already. And they're already calling the man of Norwegian Parliament, a far-right member of Norwegian Parliament, made this nomination. I want to pause it there, Governor. Bottom line, no matter politics aside, how big of a deal is it for this country to have this nomination, just for all of us?
Well, of course, Sean, there's a big difference between a nomination and actually being selected, as you pointed out, and the process continues through next year. But what an honor, with only 6 Americans in over a century actually getting the award, presidents or vice presidents, that is. So I think it brings great acclaim as Americans, being a peacemaker. We've been first in war, first in peace, first in the hearts of this country. That was George Washington. That was the model of our first president, and sometimes you get peace only through strength, because there really is evil in the world. And for President Trump to rise up now in 3 years to have so few wars in which America is involved in any way is a great benefit to the heart and soul of our people and to our budget.
Yeah, and I'll wrap it up right there just to let everyone know the Nobel Peace Prize, it gets awarded on a 5-person committee. You'll know who the winner is October 2021. Doug Wead, Robert McDonnell, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Sean.
Subscribe to this channel and hit the little bell so you get these YouTubes and messages. I've been censored continually, so it seems to be the only way to be able to get through. I believe in free speech. I want to hear from you.